Hi, Janel. Thanks for joining me on Behind the Build. I'm Paul Drake, and this podcast is all about getting to know real insights, excuse me, from leaders in housing, manufacturing, and construction. There's no scripts, no sugarcoating, and it's great exposure for you and your company. Here's how I'd like to structure our conversation today. I want to understand your background, the trends you're seeing in industry, whether that's technology, market shifts, or operational changes, the challenges you're facing right now, and where you'd like to take the business or organisation over the next 6 to 12 months. We'll wrap up with any insights that we both might find valuable at the end. Does that sound good?
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. So we'll probably take about 30 to 40 minutes, depending on how long the conversation goes on for. We're going to start a bit of background and a bit about your company. So if you wouldn't mind, tell me a bit about yourself. What's your role, and how did you end up in this position?
So my name's Janel Bowers. Obviously, I'm the CEO of Friends of Johnson County Developmental Supports. My background, a lot of it is fund development. So finding the capital to do what nonprofits need to do to push their mission forward. For most of my adult life, I have had a connection to individuals, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I worked my way through college at Kansas State University doing that. I stayed in that field. Instead of being the English teacher I thought I would be. And have, I don't have a family connection to somebody with IDD, but I've just met so many great people that happen to have that diagnosis, and kind of this sense of desire to make sure we can even the playing field for them. And part of that is housing that makes sense, right? And that is within their pocketbook. My father owned a construction company when I was little, so I grew up hearing "stop swinging a hammer like a girl" and being called Jack. But both of my parents, my mother was a scientist, really instilled this sense of taking care of your community and giving people, making sure people were okay, whether it was a neighbor, whether it was a charity. So I think that's all played a role in how I ended up doing this, which was kind of melding that somewhat background in construction, something my father would have been proud of, and serving people that have unique needs when it comes to housing. And probably not the unique need is the need for affordable, because I think, like most places, that is disappearing. Right? Affordability in housing in the U.S. is really a struggle. We're kind of in the middle of the U.S., Kansas City metro area. Johnson County, you might be able to find a one-bedroom apartment for $1,000. It would be tough. It certainly would not be accessible. So if you had any mobility needs, good luck. Good luck. I mean, it just isn't out there. It's very expensive to build to an accessibility standard, right? Because you're widening a doorway, you're widening a hallway, you may be putting a ramp in, and it's basic math. A 36-inch wide door is going to cost more than a 30-inch wide door.
Yeah.
Right? A wet room, a completely tiled bathroom is going to cost more than just going to Lowe's or Home Depot and buying, a shower surround. So there's an expense that goes along with doing that.
Yeah. So can you give us a high level overview of what the organisation does? I mean, you've touched on a few points there, but what's the high level overview of the organisation? Its purpose.
So history in the organization. So like most Friends of Zoo, Friends of JCDS, we started to raise money for craft supplies, art supplies, to support Johnson County Developmental Supports, which is the county agency that is one of the provider of services for folks with IDD. That evolved in the 90s when it became very clear that people were needing housing that meant a physical need for wheelchairs or mobility devices, right? The organization did a house. they bought a house and they renovated it. And then a year goes by and they bought a house and they renovated it. And this went on and on until the recession, and the organization lost their executive director, who was a county employee. And at that same time, there was also kind of this realization that a nonprofit needs to stand on its own. So at that time, there was 11 houses. They were run by volunteers for a while. They had hired some staff. In 2016, or end of 2015, I started. We had 11 houses, and the conversation in my interview was, we just need one more house. Okay. So we did one more house, and then we did another. And it became very clear that that need wasn't, the one more house didn't fit the need. The need was, at the time, 24 single family homes that were rented to maybe 3 gentlemen with developmental disabilities, maybe 4, or women, gentlemen, however. And we got to 24 this year, and we could have stopped. Our rent is $400 a month per person. They have their own space, their own bedroom. You know, if Brian told me he wanted an 80s bedroom, I found 80s wallpaper. I hung it. It's their house. We treat this as their home, right? We're just really cool landlords, right? And we could have stopped, but there aren't a lot of people, companies addressing affordable housing in this manner, right? And some of it is the programs that are out there aren't always helpful, like low-income housing tax credits. They're very difficult to manage. We've done all of this without any of that. So we decided we would keep on going. So currently we are now remodeling a duplex, and we're building an apartment building in downtown Overland Park. The apartment building will not just be for folks with IDD, but it will be 100% affordable to all tenants. So there won't be a market rate to offset the affordability, right? That's a big project, right?
Yeah.
It's only 17 units, but we want it to be 100% affordable. We want the back area behind the apartment to be a food forest. We want to give people opportunity to grow vegetables or fruit, to spend time outside, to not be isolated in a unit. We have a community room, and we'll partner with our extension office to help. Great, you've grown asparagus. What do you do with it? And do other sorts of trainings. We've partnered with local banks to provide financial education courses, and we'll keep doing that. This apartment will also have an artist studio for a program that Johnson County Developmental supports runs called Emerging Artists, that are artists who are people with intellectual and developmental disabilities that earn income from their art. And they have some pretty cool art, let me tell you. It is not craft time. It is artwork.
Good. Thanks for that insight into the organisation. It's really insightful. What sort of trends are you seeing? So you mentioned you're building these units and trying to make them affordable for people. What sort of trends are you seeing? Are you seeing any trends in sort of technology helping you with that? Any sort of operational efficiency trends that you're seeing that are helping you?
Sure. So the last house that we built, I refer to it as the K-State house. Kansas State University has a program called the Net Positive program, and they have jumped in both feet into affordable housing that is also energy efficient. So when we first met with Michael Gibson, who is the architect that leads that program, we said, hey, you've got efficient down, you've got affordable. How do you feel about accessible? And these 17 students came out and designed multiple options for us. We selected one. And our bigger push right now is really looking at energy efficiency, because if your house is affordable but your utilities are not, you haven't moved the ball, right? So we've looked at a lot of energy efficiencies. I know JCDS is partnering with another organization to also look at how technology can support people when they live in the home, whether that is an ability to access like an Alexa that says, call my staff, or, is it time for my meds? How do I do this? They're starting to process that through the different housing that they have, that they support. And all of this is to help people, I guess not make them, but to help them be more independent. You know, because if you give people stability, it's amazing what they can do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Are you seeing any adoption of AI within that space?
I think they're looking at it. You know, the IDD space sometimes may be a little late to the party, but when they embrace it like nobody else does. So I think that will come along. We use some AI in terms of just checking how our marketing looks or how it's written, looking at what this is our design. What does it look like when it's done? Right. For different research possibilities. I think that will continue to grow in our field. Some of it is we're kind of small, right? We have 3 employees. I'm one of them. So I have 2 employees, and it's a lot of moving parts. And so sometimes we need to get better at embracing that technology to make our workflow more efficient.
Are you seeing any opportunities? You know, we've just discussed the concerns, but is there any opportunities you're seeing?
I do. I think we are seeing people's capacity to care about other individuals. I know this sounds surprising, is increasing. People are more aware of what people need. I think there's also an opportunity to really look at how we build. I don't believe in cutting corners. I do believe in researching more sustainable building options. And I think that's going to become more of a necessity and more prevalent in the work that we do. What are we doing that isn't adding more to the local dump, right? How do we reuse, recycle? How do we make sure that we build healthy homes? You know, the type of flooring you do impacts your livelihood later, what it off gases, the type of paint that you use, how you make your homes energy efficient. All of that makes us better, right?
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing a pushback against, we refer to it as NIMBYism, not in my backyard. I think people are more accepting of maybe somebody who's different from them living next door.
Yeah. Again, that's a common problem. I think certainly in the UK. Moving on to your strengths, then, where would you say the business organisation is currently positioned in the market?
So if we look at as a nonprofit, we don't usually look at the market, right? We sustain, you know, in terms of how well we organize our supporters, how well we manage our funds. We are actually very fiscally conservative, but we are also highly nimble. So in the last, 10 years, we went from 11 homes to 24 homes because we've been flexible and because we've been able to look at things maybe a little differently. And that includes 2 brand new builds and what we've always done, which is renovate, taking a house, gutting it. We've always been very blessed with great and skilled volunteers. We have a large drywall company, E&K, here in Kansas City that has offices here, and they're wonderful to come hang drywall and tape and volunteer to do that. We work with another organization, CRL, that their wheelhouse certainly isn't construction, but they have facilities guys they're coming and painting one of our houses this week that's about to open up. So I think the volunteer sentiment has grown and is one of our strengths, our ability to really engage people in doing good.
How would you raise your finance for the builds that you invest in?
So a lot of grant writing, a lot of working with local funders, a lot of private foundation funding. We don't use much government funding. We were able to take advantage of the COVID funds. And that has led to that was a big help in this apartment building, and then also in some renovations at some other houses. But it's a lot of gosh, people that get what we do and see the understanding, that understand what we do and see the need for it, they are very generous. And it is not one donor that gives $1 million. It's people that see the need to do $10 a month, $20 a month, $50. I mean, there's not one donor who isn't loved by our organization, regardless of the number on the check.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people coming together can do big, great things.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe the same. Is there, in terms of your clients, then you might not call them clients, but is there something that they consistently say in terms of feedback that they say you do really well?
So I said we were really cool landlords.
Yeah,
right.
Other than the 80s wallpaper that you put up.
I do, and I have crazy wallpaper in my house, so that's me. I'm the one. I got a lot of flack for hanging wallpaper in people's homes. I'm like, but look, you can show your personality with wallpaper. No, we do fun things. So like this last weekend, we engaged volunteers from the local bar association to put up Halloween decorations. So all the houses that wanted Halloween decorations, and we made a lot of those from leftover pickets. So we took picket fence and painted it like ghosts and Frankenstein and vampires and whatever. And so we reused and recycled a lot of the lumber. One of my contractors, I think, probably thinks I'm insane. Because I'll be like, can I have all that leftover? Can I have that? I have a project I want to do. We also do things. A lot of individuals suffer from a poverty of access, right? People with IDD, unfortunately, you may not have that friend that you and I might call and go, what's your adventure meter reading? I want to go to the farmer's market. That probably doesn't happen, right? There's transportation, there's money. So we work with volunteers. We'll meet our tenants at a local farmer's market. We'll give them each $20 to go spend. The volunteers help them shop, just like you would, like your friend would help you shop.
Yeah.
We, during COVID, when people were stuck at home, we provided baskets so somebody could send their mom a Mother's Day card or their dad a Father's Day card. We provided baskets that was, hey, here's how you make homemade chicken soup, and here's all your ingredients, and here's the instructions. And our volunteers delivered them. So there was that engagement with somebody other than me or any of my staff. We try to do fun event, like we do a local band comes in, we shut down a bar. Well, we don't shut it down, it's open, but we shut down their parking lot and we have just a live band concert for anybody. Our folks go, but also anybody who's walking by is welcome to come in, and it's burgers and chips and a drink. And you just listen to really good live music, because we want our people to experience what you and I experience. Whether that's, let's all go to a movie. We're not going to shut down a theater so nobody else goes, but I'll pay for tickets who everybody wants to go see the latest. I don't even know. I'm really horrible about picking appropriate movies. They don't let me do that anymore. Because I'll be like, I want to see this political movie. And no. But we try to give people opportunities to go and do things, because it's like I said, it's a poverty of access in so many different ways. And we also have a special needs fund. So if somebody needs a new mattress or a bed, and they can't afford it and they don't have the budget, we'll go buy it. We'll pay for it.
Yeah, it's really good. Moving on to your kind of future goals and aspirations then, where do you want to take the organisation over the next 6 to 12 months?
This apartment is the new goal because it's inclusive. It isn't just the folks that we've typically served. I would like to see more of that. It's also a good size for an apartment. It's only 17 units. So it's not the big towering 300 units where you don't have a sense of community. That is more expensive, right? If I built up and I could get more units on a same square footage, obviously we would make a lot of money. That's not what this is about. It's about helping people be included and being in the community. finishing that apartment in the next 6 to 12 months is a big goal of mine. That might be a stretch, but also keeping those opportunities available. Another goal that we have is advocacy. We don't have to be the only landlord, Paul. We're happy to sit down and teach people what we do and talk about it. We've met with other nonprofits. We've sat down with them and said, here's our plan. Here's our budget. Here's who we talk to. This notion that I own a donor and they should only give to us is really, that's not very charitable, right? So we go out and talk to people. I have a gentleman in Wichita, which is another metropolitan area of Kansas, that calls me about once a week. And we kind of go through where he's at, what he's doing, what he's thinking, issues he's come up with his board. And we're happy to mentor others. Because imagine what if everybody created affordable housing?
It's needed, isn't it? Desperately, I would say. Certain places in the world.
Yeah. And what if everybody just took care of their neighbor?
That seems to be becoming less of a thing, it would seem.
Well,
certainly in the UK.
Yeah. And hopefully that changes. Hopefully the pendulum swings the other way, right?
We can hope so. But with people like you, I think you can change the world. little by little.
Maybe just this little small corner of Kansas.
Well, you got to start somewhere, Janelle, and why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, it's the middle, so maybe it spreads easier. It's like you're in the middle and you can spread out as opposed to being on one end.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Good way of looking at it.
But there's it's the gentleman that runs the World Kitchen. He talks about if you give people a spark of stability, they can create a flame of hope. I believe that stability. If you talk to, is it Bear Grylls? The first thing he does when he talks about being stranded somewhere is you need shelter. You need water and shelter, right? And then everything else you can get. Get people a stable environment to live and see what happens. See how they grow.
Yeah. Yeah, good way of looking at it. What are the biggest operational challenges do you see in achieving your objectives over the next 6 to 12?
I think we have growing pains. So there's me, I'm the CEO, but I also write the newsletter, write all the grants, do the fundraising, do the newsletter, and manage a lot of the project management. I have Tammy, who is our finance person. She does payroll. She manages rent coming in. She does the thank you notes for me. Brad does a lot of the volunteer management and kind of does the checking. We're in our houses once a month. So we make sure that we catch an issue before it, becomes a bigger issue. And with an apartment, we're kind of going through this, what we probably need to add someone. I think we need another staff person. So how do we do that? And then what is that position? Do I need someone to help with the social media, the marketing, the fund development, or do we need a facilities person? And that's going to, us figuring that out is going to be a big operational challenge. And then who supervises that person? And I hope that answer isn't me. I'm good.
You can answer that one yourself.
No, we'll find somebody else to supervise that person. I don't want to do it. So the growth that comes with growth, right? That's an operational challenge. More staffing, right? I think to grow larger, it's going to be finding the right property. The property we purchased for the apartment, came at a premium price, but it's walking distance to a community center. It's walking distance to a farmer's market. It's walking distance to fast casual or other restaurants, like a CVS and a Walgreens, pharmaceuticals, Casey's, which is like a kind of a gas station, but not. So it has like a little bit of groceries. There was a grocery store 2 blocks down. It just closed. We're hoping another one comes in. And it's like a block from a bus stop. So finding property, infill property that makes sense to largely a population that doesn't drive, and that's not just folks with IDD, right? That expands to individuals that are in poverty. You know, if you don't have to pay your insurance, your car payment, and a gas bill, and you can use public transportation, which we haven't figured out very well as a society. The larger metropolitan areas, probably New York, Washington, they probably have decent public transportation. You get into the Midwest, I wouldn't say that. They're working on it, but there just isn't the huge need. Well, there is the huge need, but there's not a perception of, I mean, we're not, you know, in Midwest, we all start driving at age 15 or 16. You know, so cars are part of our lifestyle because we're so much more spread out that when you get into a city, you're like, well, why do you need public transportation? I have a car.
It's a bit of a shift, isn't it, in mentality? There's
Absolutely.
similarities in the UK. The infrastructure, transportation infrastructure isn't particularly great outside of London, outside of Manchester, Birmingham, the big cities, which is it's really good. Being left behind because there isn't the mass volume of people to support the massive cost to build the infrastructure in the first place. So it's a bit of a challenge. You guys, not everybody has a car or can afford a car. It's an expensive commodity to run and
It is.
And becoming more of a luxury these days, it would seem. Moving on to struggles then, what's been your biggest struggle to get to where you've got to so far?
I've had a huge learning curve, and not all contractors are equal. You know, having, you know, kind of growing up with the 70s construction and then moving here and finding out, oh, they don't, well, that's not done right. Right. I've had a couple of kind of the incidences where, because I'm female, I get talked down to in construction. Obviously don't work with them anymore. But we've had some bad contractors, and it's a huge learning curve when, like, I should know that people don't do what they say they're going to do, but that wasn't my memory. And then to walk onto a job site and go, but that's not code. That's not right. So my learning curve has been a huge, I wouldn't say it's a struggle, but it's been an uphill climb. 10 years ago, I didn't know the codes I knew now. The other struggle, I mean, funding will always be a struggle. There's always going to be someone that this isn't what appeals to them, or an entity that feels that, you know, probably one of the most frustrating comments I get is, well, don't their parents take care of them? Doesn't the state pay for that? Don't the feds pay for that? They should. Well, they don't. And not all the individuals we have active families in their lives. Some of them have outlived their parents. So I wouldn't be asking if we didn't need it. And I can't change what the federal government, well, that's a whole other bag of worms right now, but I can't change what their policies do or don't do. So how about we just give somebody the pride in knowing they could pay their own rent? And they can walk down to the local, Quick Trip, Piggly Wiggly, whatever, and afford a pop, right? Or buy an orange. I think they're going to buy a Coke more than they're going to buy an orange. You know, let's give people a sense of pride about being able to live within their means, and maybe some support in helping them increase their means. And JCDS does a wonderful job of helping people find jobs and going through employment services. So let's support them and make them feel proud of also having a job and a home, whether that's a 1-bedroom apartment or a duplex or whatever.
Yeah, nice. So on a personal perspective then, what does reaching those goals and aspirations over the next 6 to 12 months mean to you, Janel?
You know, I will probably reach that goal and just start another one. Like, I'm not going to be happy until everybody has a place to hang their hat. You know, that's probably just something very wrong with me. I don't know what but you know, it's people go, oh my gosh, you got another home. That's so great. Congratulations. I'm like, yeah, moving on. Let's go. We got another one to do. We had a United States senator who once said, you can't wring your hands and roll up your sleeves at the same time. As long as we're sitting here talking about the lack of affordable housing, we're not rolling up our sleeves and we're not getting it done. And quite frankly, a personal goal for me is let's just get it done.
Nice. So we're drawing to the close of our podcast now. Janel, it's been fantastic talking to you. You've been very open and candid with the real challenges and opportunities you're seeing, and you've got a really great organisation. You're doing a good thing. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
Well, gosh, thank you for talking to me. I talking about giving people stability is one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah, and you
and
do.
do.
Very well.
Thank you.